Good morning, everyone. I am Irene Marie C. Arqueo from ED2, Group 1, on Module 2, Nature of Teaching and Teaching Rules. For today, we will discuss about challenges in teaching. The topics under the challenges in teaching are multicultural classroom, learner-centered teaching, multi-grade classes, ICT integration, brain-based education, multiple intelligences, and children with special needs. First, let's go to the multicultural classroom. So what is a multicultural classroom? A multicultural classroom are classroom that embraces diversity, incorporates the histories, values, beliefs, ethnicity, races, gender, and perspectives of people coming from different cultural backgrounds. Multicultural classroom is a combination of variety of students in one classroom, sharing their different beliefs, identity, ethnicity, races, and the like. The multicultural classroom aims to promote equality and reject racism and discrimination. Here are the challenges in a multicultural classroom. First is the language barriers. Language barriers is one of the challenges in a multicultural classroom. Students coming from different countries or localities has their own preferred language in communicating. These are the languages influenced by their parents, environment, dialects, and the like. Because of these language barriers, it becomes harder for the student and teachers or students to students to understand each other. Here in our country, which is Philippines, we have more than 107 ethno-linguistic groups. In DepEd, they implemented the mother tongue-based multilingual education in its K-12 education program. It was used in instructions and the learning materials of the students. It is effective in the process since students can easily express and share their ideas because they are using their first language. The second challenge in multicultural classroom is ethnicity. Ethnicity has been identified by several studies as one of the central obstacles that can affect teacher-student interaction and communication in a multicultural classroom, such as indicators, a parent's place of birth, language spoken at home, their beliefs, religion, and etc. The perception of students and teachers plays an important role in a multicultural classroom. A teacher should be very careful in his or her formulation of topics or words and expressions not to offend the feelings of some students, since we have different perception that may affect on how the students understand a certain topic. The next challenge in multicultural classroom is the racism and inequality. Racism is a very rampant issue nowadays. In some countries, racism is a very hot topic. People varies on the skin color and nationality of a person. This may bring bad effect on the learning process of a student. It can cause a negative impact on the self-esteem and the performance of the student inside the classroom. The next one is the teaching communication skills. Apart from difficulties in using a foreign language, students may also feel shy and uncomfortable to express their ideas and viewpoints because of the reason that others might not understand them. In this part, teachers should encourage students to discuss different issues and speak up their minds on the variety of topics and promote pleasant atmosphere in the classroom. The last one is the learning styles. Many scholars emphasizes the importance of understanding the different learning style of every student. Despite the fact that students may differ in race, religion, and family background, students also differ in their learning style. For example, a certain student learn efficiently through visual, the other one learn better with kinesthetic or auditory. A teacher must offer all the learning style to attain an effective outcome and for the learners to learn better inside the classroom. Multicultural education is an idea, educational reform movement, and a process. And as an idea, multicultural education seeks equal educational opportunities for all students, including those from different racial, ethnic, and social class groups. Multicultural education tries to create equal education opportunities to all students by changing the total school environment so that it will reflect the diverse cultures and groups within a society and within the nation's classroom. Here are the following examples of the things that can promote the cause of multicultural education. First one is the content integration. Is a cultural practice. Content integration is a cultural practice, cultural values, history, and respect for cultural diversity can be integrated of the various content of the subject taught in basic education. By using several approaches to integrate content about ethnic, racial, ethnic, and cultural groups into the curriculum. Teachers may insert isolated facts about ethnics and cultural groups to heroines to the classroom. The next one is the cultural immersion. Students can be immersed in different culture. Cultural immersion is the act of surrounding yourself with the culture of a place. Cultural immersion is a unique experience that can open doors to a deeper understanding to unfamiliar places. Through introducing different culture to the students, they may understand and experience and interact with it. The third one is to celebrate cultural diversity. Similar to what we do in UN Month celebration and the Linggo ng Wika, students can experience and enjoy different dances. In this celebrate cultural diversity, just like what we do in schools, celebrating cultural diversity will develop the sense of differences of culture. For example, celebrating our United Nations Month. This is an activity wherein we let our students to explore of the different countries by wearing their national costume, knowing their language and tradition. Here in Philippines, we also celebrate the Buwan ng Wika. It is a celebration of commemorating our history and culture, educating the students about the differences of each cultures. The fourth one is the cultural responsive pedagogy. Teachers use pedagogical method, approaches, and techniques that respect the cultural mindset, cultural values, and cultural practice of the learner. Fifth one is the teaching local culture. Teachers will introduce local culture to students through lectures, fora, and symposia. This last one is to use the local language as a medium of instructions. Teachers need to support the implementation of mother tongue-based multilingual education or MTB, MLE of the Department of Education. Second one is the learner-centered teaching. Learner-centered education is one of the promising products of the progressive movement in education, and it refers to a kind of education that considers the knowledge, skills, attitudes, interests, and beliefs that the learner brings into a classroom. Learner or student-centered teaching means inverting the traditional teacher-centered understanding of the learning process and putting the students in the center of the learning process. This means that the learners or the students is responsible for learning, while the tutor is responsible for the facilitating of learning. The challenges in this learner-centered teaching are lack of interest and confidence, the lack of teacher and students' interest, the class size. Students may feel discomfort when they work with others. Here are the characteristics of a learner-centered teaching. First is the using of students' prior knowledge. Student may apply what they know in regards to the lesson. These are the informations and educational contexts that a learner already has before they learn new informations. In constructivism, it proposes that new knowledge is constructed from old knowledge. The second one is to motivate students by giving them some control on learning process. By letting the students take control on their learning process, it will motivate them, for example, by giving them the opportunity to choose their books to read, letting them conduct science experiments, and also giving them self-evaluation to reflect on their performance. The third one is to engage students in the process learning. The fourth one is to include explicit skills instructions using direct structured instructions. For example, presenting through videos or films is considered a direct instruction. Teachers may also prepare activities which the students could work collaboratively with a group. The fifth one is to reflect what they are learning and how they are learning. The sixth one is to encourage collaboration. The last one is to enhance students' hypotheses. The advantages of a learner-centered teaching, for students, it improves their participation, improves their retention knowledge, boosts performance at work, develop problem-solving skills, fosters collaboration learning, makes learning more fun. Last is to facilitate personalized learning. The third one is the multi-grade classes. A multi-grade class consists of two or more different grade levels in a single grade classroom, handled by one teacher for an entire school year. It is commonly offered in elementary schools located at remote and sparsely populated localities. A teacher needs to teach more than one grade of student in the same classroom. A teacher must utilize very good planning and develop teaching and learning strategies to achieve effective multi-grade learning. Multi-grade teaching involves the teaching of students from different levels in one classroom. This requires teachers to develop skill in handling different students' behavior, and addressing their needs and interests. Such situations necessitates teachers has to employ effective instructional methods and strategies and apply an efficient system for classroom management. So why does this multi-grade classes exist? This was organized as a matter of necessity for remote barangays, where the number of children enrolled could not meet the required number to organize a single grade class assigned to a necessary teacher of each class. It is also due to the shortage of funds, teachers, and school buildings. The advantages of a multi-grade classes to the learners. First is the maximum social interaction between or among peers. Cooperative learning is predominant. Students will learn to be independent, self-directed learners, can learn to be more resourceful. Next is preparing the students for real-life situations where there is constant interaction between people of different ages, varied skills, and abilities. Students can learn to assume leading or supporting role as needed in different work situations. So here are the challenges in a multi-grade classes. Lack of inadequately trained teachers. Kakulangan of trained teachers for this field multi-grade class. Second is the scarcity of varied levels and types of materials. So the lack of the learning materials and equipment for the learning of students. Next is the lack of flexible and special types of curriculum organization. Next one is inadequate school facilities. The last one is the lack of incentives for teachers in multiple classes. So according to Collingwood Book's multi-class teaching in primary schools, a handbook that was published in 1991 by by UNESCO Office for the Pacific States. So here are the three methods. First is do a whole class teaching. Second is a group teaching. Third is a self-directed learning. The teacher have to be very flexible in various teaching methods like groupings, individualized instructions, independent study, group project, peer tutoring, and etc. These will encourage the students to be independent and develop their personalities. The fourth one is the ICT integration. The term ICT, or Information and Communication Technology, embraces all forms of technologies that enables all people to receive information and communicate or exchange information with others. ICT have marked a significant effect in education, particularly on teaching and learning. Computers began to be used in schools in early 1980s, and several scholars suggest that ICT will be an important part of education for the next generation. As we are now living in a modern world where technologies dominantly exist, technologies helps us to make our lives easier and convenient, as well as for our education. Especially now, during this pandemic, our education system shifted to these virtual classes. So we need to have good access on technologies to be able to adapt and continue and have a continuous learning and be able to connect to the class. But as a matter of fact, it was never been easy. So here are some of the challenges in ICT integration. First is the limited of First is limited accessibility and network connection. Several research studies indicated several reasons for the lack of access to technology. So not all of the schools, teachers, nor students own a technology or devices that can be used or operate for their learning or to the school. It is because gamay ra ang accessible nga computer sa school, and also the connection is not that stable, especially sa mga remote areas. Second one is school with limited technical support. So without both technical support in the classroom and whole class resources, teachers cannot be expected to overcome these obstacles. Like teachers are struggling with a network connection, malfunction of computers, or lack of computers, software and hardware problems, lack of technical maintenance. So due to these problems, teachers could not deliver a smooth presentation or their lessons in the class. Third is the lack of effective training. This is also a challenge in ICT integration. The lack of the opportunities or not enough training for teachers in using ICT in a classroom environment. According to the Newhouse 2002, stated that teachers need not only be a computer literate, but they also need to develop skills in integrating computer. The next challenge in ICT integration is the limited time, and lastly is the lack of teachers' competency. The growing influence of ICT is almost every aspect of life made ICT literacy essential among all teachers and students. ICT skills are part of the 21st century skills that must develop among students to become globally competitive. They also need to teach their students to the use of ICT responsibly, observing ethics, using information from internet responsibly, and respecting the privacy of individuals. Number 5. The brain-based education. Brain-based learning refers to teaching methods, lesson designs, and school programs that are based on the latest scientific research about how the brain learns, including such factors are cognitive development, how students learn differently as they age, grow, and mature socially, emotionally, and cognitively. Brain-based learning as the practice engages the entire body of a student to enhance the learning process. Brain-based teaching is considered a comprehensive approach and instructions. Brain-based education offers a biologically driven classroom structure that corresponds to the functions of the human brain at different developmental levels. Here are the 12 principles of brain-based education. Principle 1, the brain is a parallel Principle 1, the brain is a parallel processor. Principle 2, learning engages the entire physiology. Principle 3, the research of meaning. The search for meaning is innate. Principle 4, the search for meanings occurs through patterning. Principle 5, emotions are critical to patterning. Principle 6, every brain simultaneously perceives and creates parts and whole. Principle 7, learning involves both focus, attention, and peripheral perception. Principle 8, learning always involves conscious and unconscious processes. Principle 9, we have at least two types of memory, a spatial memory system and a set of systems for rote learning. Principle 10, the brain understands and remembers best when facts and skills are embedded in natural spatial memory. Principle 11, learning is enhanced by challenge and inhibited by threat. And lastly, Principle 12, each brain is unique. The basic theory behind brain-based learning is a total body immersion in a topic. So here are the tips for teachers that may use to promote natural learning. First is a teacher must make use of the classroom space to arouse all senses. Teachers must make use of the classroom space to arouse all senses. For example, teachers may build a rainforest simulation in the classroom while studying the environment of Central America. In this kind of simulation about rainforests, a teacher may place some stuffed animals around the forest wherein children will automatically associate certain species with a theme being used. Students can go in safari during a class to learn more about the rainforest that was used for simulation. Next is the brain-based learning helps students relax in order to improve alertness. School is a challenging environment that often produces a stress response that can interface with learning. In this kind of situation, teachers may use music, or they could play music, introduce soft scents and dim lighting to promote a stress-free learning area to the students. Next is to stimulate social skills to improve the experience. Students retain better understanding of a concept when they utilize the social skills. Students retain better understanding of a concept when they utilize their social skills. In this area, the teacher may set up work groups around the room for discussion. The bulletin board and the wall decoration of a classroom should reflect to the topic for a total immersion for the students. For example, you are teaching a topic about different animals. You may use pictures or place figures of animals in the background to make the lesson more fun. Next is to make study challenging. The more complex hands-on teaching assignment is, the better as it could be for the students' cognitive development. The last one is that teachers may set up learning folder for each student. Teachers may maintain past work assignments of the students that will serve as tool for their reflection. This is very helpful since this assignment or more like a portfolio where students will store their activities, artworks, assignments, and other elements of their learning process. Students may look to these folders or their portfolio for them to have self-evaluation or self-assess regarding on their learning progress. Now the next topic is number 6, which is multiple intelligences. This idea of learners having multiple intelligences came from the research of the famous Howard Gardner. In 1993, Gardner published his book titled Frames of Mind that presented the concept of multiple intelligences, Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. This theory proposes that we are able to know the world through language, logical mathematical analysis, spatial representation, musical thinking, the use of the body to make things, understanding of the individuals, and understanding ourselves. Every individual differs in strength and intelligences, and the ways in which such intelligences are involved and combined to carry out different tasks, solve diverse problems, and progress in various domains. This is by Hanny Morgan, which supported the Gardner's theory, which supported which which supports the Gardner's theory. So here are the multiple intelligence here are the Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. First is the linguistic intelligence. This is the ability to analyze information and create product involving oral and written language. The strength in this linguistic intelligence is the use of words, languages, and writing. Next is the logical mathematical intelligence. This is the ability to develop equations and proofs, makes calculation, and solve abstract problems. This is where students enjoy problem solving and scientific experiments. Next is the spatial intelligences. This is the ability to recognize and manipulate large-scale and fine-grained spatial images. Students in this intelligence are good through reading, writing, pictures, graphs, charts, drawing, puzzle, visuals, and patterns. Next is the musical intelligence. This is the ability to produce, remember, and make learning of different patterns of sound. Students in this intelligence enjoys playing music, singing, and playing musical song, melodies, notes, and rhythm. Next is the naturalist intelligence. It is the ability to identify and distinguish among different types of plants, animals, and weather formations that are found in the natural world. Next is the bodily kinesthetic. This is the ability to use one's own body to create product or solve problem. The strength of this bodily kinesthetic is the physical movement and motor control. These are students who are skilled at dancing, sports, artists, and drawing, and arts. Next is the interpersonal intelligence. This is the ability to recognize and understand the people's mood, desires, motivations, and intentions. Interpersonal are those people who are good at understanding and interacting with other people. Next is the intrapersonal intelligence. This is the ability to recognize and understand his or her own mood, desires, motivations, and intentions. These are the individuals who are strong with their emotional state, feelings, self-reflection. These are the students who enjoy discovering things about themselves, knowing their strengths and weaknesses, and also they have the strong self-awareness. Now let us go to the children with special needs. Number 7. Children with special needs. Special education is an area of education that seeks to understand the nature and needs of different learners with special needs. As a field of study,
It trains teachers and other professionals to respond to the needs of special learners in terms of pedagogy, curriculum, and other forms of educational interventions. Here are the examples of students' disabilities: dual sensory impairment, deafness and hearing impairment, mental retardation, multiple handicaps, orthopedic impairments, other health impairments, serious emotional disturbance, specific learning disabilities, speech or language impairments, visual impairments, blindness, traumatic brain injury, autism, and those learners diagnosed with medical conditions. It is inevitable for teachers to encounter students with special needs in their classes. Teachers need to modify the curriculum and utilize instructional approaches that are relevant and responsive to the needs of these special learners. It is also important to be careful in identifying a student as special learner. Teachers need to be careful, observe their students' behavior, abilities, and characteristics. The challenges in this special education: first is lacking experience in an inclusion setting. Some teachers have not been exposed to special needs classroom, and this can be a challenge or disadvantage. New special education teachers may find the first year of teaching to be especially difficult. Educator, Educators need to coordinate efforts and understand the needs of the classroom in terms of developing skills and lesson plans. Number 2. Lacking experience with severe and profound disabilities. Students with severe and profound disabilities requires more adaptation than the average students. So these students with severe disabilities needs more attention than those average students. Teachers must be skilled in handling severe disabilities by creating lesson plans based on individuals' abilities and adhering to each child's dietary needs. If the teacher doesn't have sufficient experience, the child may not progress in their skills, or in the worst case scenario, they could experience adverse medical incidents. Number 3 is creating activities that includes all students. Special needs inclusive classroom must be able to involve all the students in all of the classroom activities, despite on their differences. Teachers need to address how the students will communicate with each other and encourage everyone to participate. If there is a lack of adaptive equipment or adaptive communication and language tools, it makes it difficult for teachers to lead a united classroom. Number 4 is educating students with less severe disabilities. When there are children of all abilities in the classroom, both physical and academic, children in the middle can easily fall between the cracks. These children might have learning disabilities, hearing impairments, ADD, or language delays, to name a few examples. Providing the right amount of attention and adaptation can be challenging for teachers, especially if there is a higher teacher to student ratio. Number 5 is dealing with death. That is difficult for any teacher to explain to their students. When you have a special needs inclusive classroom, there may be students with chronic illnesses, and teachers may have to help the classes process the death of a classmate. Number 6, not having enough teacher aides. Normally, inclusive classroom have a regular educators and a special need educator. Due to the nature of the classroom and its size or class size, it is imperative to have an appropriate number of teacher aides to assist the teachers with day-to-day activities. But teachers often don't get the resources they need, including teacher aides. Number 7 is teaching compassion to students. Not all students have been exposed to persons with special needs before, and this will become a challenge for teachers. Teachers must not tolerate insensitivity and cruelty. They must teach that all students are to be treated with respect, equality, regardless of their ability. Number 8 is dealing with parents of typically developing students. Just like the students, some parents are not used to dealing with persons with special needs. Teachers needs to convey to parents how the classroom is conducted, and they need to reassure parents that every student's needs will be met. Number 9 is addressing individualized lesson plans. Individualized education programs or IEPs are important for helping special needs to succeed because there are varying abilities in an inclusive classroom. Teachers needs to balance multiple IEPs while addressing individual academic needs based on their ability. Last is the coordinating therapist. A special needs inclusion classroom needs to be well organized and allow for students to attend therapy sessions. However, this become a challenge in planning day-to-day activities and keeping all students engaged and learning. So that's all about my topic, which is the challenges in teaching. Thank you for listening.